Welcome back. The power of the pause is a phrase you will hear often in the world of negotiation. When you find yourself facing a difficult negotiation, you need to stop and go to the balcony. Now, the balcony is a metaphor for a mental attitude of detachment. Imagine you're negotiating on a stage and then imagine yourself climbing onto a balcony overlooking the stage. From the balcony, you can calmly diagnose the situation, almost as if you were a third party. Going to the balcony also buys you time to think and rewind the tape of what has been said. Slow down the conversation by playing it back. Tell your counterpart, let me just make sure I understand what you're saying. Review the discussion up to that point. If you need more time to think, you can slow down the negotiation by taking careful notes. Writing down what your counterpart says gives you a good way to slow it down. You could say something like, I'm sorry, I missed that. Could you please repeat it? Keeping a record not only buys you time to think, but also shows that you are taking the other person seriously. Another strategy is to take a time out. If you need more time to think, you should take a break. Too many negotiations go on and on as each person gets triggered and reacts to the other. A timeout gives both sides a chance to cool off and go to the balcony. Negotiations are more productive when they are broken up by frequent timeouts. You may be afraid that calling for a break will be interpreted as a sign of indecisiveness or weakness, but that is not true. The truth is, the more time you take in a negotiation, the better the win-win solution could be. Don't ever feel pressured to make an important decision on the spot. In the presence of the other person, you may be under strong psychological pressure to agree. Instead, go to the balcony and make your decision there. If the other side springs a contract on you and demands an immediate signature, believe me, I've been there, it's happened to me, you can say, it looks like you've put a lot of time into this. I'd like to do it justice by studying it carefully before responding. Fold up the contract and put it away in your purse. And you can say, I'll get back to you tomorrow or in a few days. While it is generally better to sleep on a prospective decision, it isn't always possible. If an immediate response is required, tell the other side, I don't want to slow things down. Let me make a quick phone call to my office and I'll get right back to you. If you'll excuse me, I'll make that call right now. Even if you have time only to step out in the corridor for a moment, it will help. Once you're away from the table, the psychological pressure eases. It no longer seems so urgent to reach a decision. Having suspended your initial reaction, you can now consider the decision in a more objective fashion on the balcony. Don't let yourself be hurried. The most powerful tool in the diagnose stage, and actually in every stage of negotiation, is active listening. Through active listening, you can shift the emotional environment. It demonstrates your understanding what they're going through and how they feel about it. It all starts with the basic fact that people want to be understood and accepted. By listening intensely, you as a negotiator demonstrate empathy and show a sincere desire to better understand what the other side is experiencing. Research shows that when individuals feel listened to, they tend to listen to themselves even more carefully and to openly evaluate and clarify their own thoughts and feelings. In addition, they tend to become less defensive and oppositional and more willing to listen to others' points of view, which gets them to the calm place where they can be good problem solvers. Contrary to popular opinion, listening is not a passive activity at all. It is the most active thing you can do. An amazing student of mine struggled with the power of the pause and active listening when she negotiated. For 10 years, she had been going to her boss requesting special projects. Every time she would hear no, it took her into this whirlwind of anger. And then she went into this long story and she would tell her boss why she deserved the project, how it wasn't fair that everyone else got projects, etc., etc. Although she asked him why she couldn't have the special project, she never really paid attention to his response. She didn't actively listen to him. When I first met her, she shared with me in tears how difficult her boss was. And I asked her, are you sure you're not the difficult one? Of course, she laughed. I told her that every time she seemed her boss to be difficult when he said no to her for her special request project, she needed to pause, go to the balcony, and assess the situation. In other words, she needed to take a deep breath. Instead of getting triggered and lashing out, I told her she needed to diagnose the situation and figure out why he wasn't giving her the special projects. The next week, she went into her boss's office and once again asked for a special project. When he said no again, she took a deep breath, mentally went to the balcony, told her boss she needed to use the bathroom and would be right back. What she really needed to do was take a time out because she realized she had been triggered. She went to the bathroom, regained her composure, and returned to her boss's office and asked him, "Can you please share with me why you're not allowing me to take on this special project?" He responded, and this time she actively listened. He told her, "Because you do not have the experience needed to take on this project." She then told him she would return to speak with him. She went back to her office, got on her computer, and typed up all the experience she had that related to this special project. She went back to her boss with the complete list of over 15 projects she had previously led that he was not aware of. That proved she was more than ready and capable to take on this new project. Once her boss reviewed the list, he determined she was fit and ready to lead that special project and gave it to her. She was elated and full of excitement when she called me to share the news. I told her I was so proud of her for not responding to her trigger, but instead pausing, taking a time out, going to the balcony, and diagnosing the best way to handle the situation. Since that day, a couple years ago, this student has moved up 2 positions in her organization, more than doubled her salary, and won the CEO Award of the Year, which is given to the best and most accomplished employee of the year out of 17,000 employees. Just by her practicing the power of the pause, going to the balcony, diagnosing the situation, and practicing active listening, she completely changed her own life and the trajectory of her career. You too can begin shifting the trajectory of your career by following the simple steps in this lesson and the many more to come.